Hi, I'm Jazz and I'm an alcoholic and I'm codependent. I work a 12-step program and I seek health. I am a seeker and a traveler in my journey. I have been on this road of building my self-esteem up more seriously in the last few years. I worked through lots of insecurities in early recovery from substance abuse, but the real deep-rooted stuff is really where I found the way to change, the path to how to change, I found more in Coda. So I have been working on building my self-esteem, and I literally had no self-esteem before. I was very indecisive, scared to make decisions on my own, wasn't confident. You know, there's lots of things out there that say like, this is how you have to look and be to be confident. But what I've been discovering is small things in repetition have been my greatest payoff. And honoring what I like, what I want to do, my pace, things that affect me, listening to my own voice, and consistently following through for myself has been huge. So if I have some internal boundary that I've made, sure, I could not do it and cross it off in my head because it's just me. Who's going to know if I don't do that thing I said I would do in my own head? That's the easiest place for me to not honor myself, I find. So even if I make a boundary inside my head that no one knows about, I try to adhere to that at all costs. So for example, what happened? Well, anyways, like if I try to work out when I can, and instead of having a rigorous schedule, I have sort of I hope I can get 2 or 3 workouts in a week. Now, I mostly always do that. I haven't had to do less than 2 because my mindset is not that, oh, it didn't happen. It's just, okay, I have to get the next opportunity. I have to try again. I have to keep going. I don't go, oh, well, that's it. Too bad. I'm never going to get this working out done. I just continue. I will soon. I'm going to do it the next chance that I get. And I do that with a lot of things. So building my self-esteem, one of my favorite rewards is actually having confidence to make decisions without anyone else's approval or if they like it. I used to get on the phone with friends and I needed them to agree with my vision or what I thought, or that certain thing that I wanted. I need them to be on my side if I was talking about like an argument or something, you know, with what they were talking about with me. I needed them, you know, I always had to have them align with my rigid ways. And I've gotten a lot more loosened up in that area where, okay, it's like I'm noticing that there's a disagreement or that we don't agree. And instead of just forcing I want them to, now it's just sort of like, well, I just don't think of it like that, or I just don't like it that way, or I don't agree. And I don't always have to say that I don't agree. I just, in my head, half the time, it's just, I just don't agree. And then, the conversation can just get quiet. There's nothing else that has to be said. They're allowed to have their point of view inside of it. And then I get to have my own. Like, by letting them have their side of things means I also get my side of things. So I never had that kind of flow before. I would just continue to fight to get both sides on the same side, both in agreement, and I wasted my energy doing that. And so I'm just really okay if someone doesn't agree with what I'm interested in or like, or what we're talking about anymore. And that's been liberating. Following through really helps my self-esteem. I'd say that's the thing is anything that I say in my head, I follow through on. Anything I say out loud, I really follow through on. And, and if I have said it, because my word is my bond, I must do everything in my power to make sure that I do that thing that I said. And because I am really, really stay on track with what I've said, I make sure that what I am saying, can I do it? Like, I really think about it. I don't just jump in whimsily and think I can and get all grandiose. I have to evaluate and check. And if I'm going to say it, can I do it? So it's made me concise and self-aware with my own limits and what I can achieve. And it also helps me not set up that other person. In the moment I might be winning, but I'm definitely going to lose down the road if I can't fulfill that thing that I said. So for me to prevent, and I'd rather prevent that down the road thing from failing because I over exceeded myself or my expectation of myself. Like, I'd rather avoid that mess and just figure out now, like, can I really do it? Like, really be honest with myself. Like, can I really do that thing I said? What would be my plan? How would that look? How much do I have to put here and there and to be able to afford that thing or go to that kid's thing or buy that certain present? Like, I really do have to get honest and think about what's going on there. I can't just whimsily say it off the cuff and then without thinking and then think that that's really going to stick. I got to think about if it's going to stick because my self-esteem is connected with me. So if I sell something shaky, I'm going to feel that anxiety. And then I might actually set myself up for failure because I'm not going to follow through on it probably. And I think I already know that if I'm selling something kind of shaky, shady, there's just a bad vibe that goes with it. And as I improve on my self-esteem, things come out real solid and clear, and they come out, I've developed, I know myself more because I keep showing up and listening to those inner vibes and listening to that, and then being consistent really builds so much trust. And when I'm reliable on myself, it gives me so much strength, and I'm way more efficient knowing that I always have me. So when I had no self-esteem before, low self-esteem, I pretty much was just doing things out of fear so that it wouldn't be seen or noticed or get in a fight or a conflict. I was always ducking. And I find, like, as my self-esteem has built up, it's just okay to be seen. It's just like things roll off me. I don't care. Like, what they might think of me doesn't matter because I've decided what I think of me. I've been rewriting the tape in my own mind that I do think I am worthy, lovable, loving, and loved. Like, they can think whatever they want because now there's some separation. There's some detachment that's their own thoughts of me. But it doesn't change the thoughts that I have for me. So other ways that I started to build my self-esteem in recovery was I started noticing that I wanted people to join me with things. I wanted people to join me with decisions, with recovery, with where to put the furniture, the paint colors. And so I had to start making decisions by myself. So I would just decide to put the furniture where I put the furniture. instead of constantly, asking this person to join me, although that would be nice in a more healthy, balanced situation. But this also was a time I've been learning my own self-esteem. So getting comfortable with being alone, getting comfortable with it's okay if I make that call and I pick that color. It's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm shameful. It doesn't mean that who I am as a person is bad. It means that in that moment, I just picked that color because I like that color, and that is okay. There doesn't have to be an extra talk or approval with having someone, agree and align with it. Like I'm happy to, there's wiggle room, but just speaking on low self-esteem terms and how to build that up, I just started doing lots of things on my own. So, I noticed that I kept needing that approval or somebody with me, and I just started to do more things on my own and very consistently. So, like this person didn't go to as many meetings, and I really value recovery and meetings. And I had to really get used to the fact that I had to keep going. I do believe that consistent meetings makes a difference. It has made a difference in my own recovery. And I have to keep going anyways. I had to I wanted to get healthier. I wanted to eat healthier. I wanted to work out more. And I wanted a partner to kind of be into those things too and want those things. And they didn't want to do those things or was into those things. So I was, doing the pull. I was pulling them to come to my side. I stopped that. I would just work out and be like, I'm just working out for me. I got to work out. I have to stay on my schedule no matter what they're doing. So it might sound really easy to say, but for me, in order for me to get to where I am, these are some of the steps that I had to take. It's just continuing to move on, and then I would make decisions and then stick to those decisions and do whatever I can to keep those decisions or those plans, keep making them happen. And that really built something solid, because it wasn't like I was moving things around all the time and having to keep track, because then I can depend on those things that I've put there in my life. And that just adds so much structure and stability when I show up for me. And when I, even all the self-talk that I've trained myself to do, I almost rarely shame myself now for making mistakes or say I did miss a workout or I did eat something bad. It's it's okay. I'm allowed to be human. I rewrite the tape. So building my self-esteem is lots of good self-talk, lots of consistency, and just yes, life gets in the way, but just that constant chipping at it. Okay, I just keep chipping at things, and it's it doesn't mean turn back the other way when the obstacle comes. It means, okay, it's an obstacle. How do I feel? And just keep going. It doesn't mean I change my mind drastically. Doesn't mean I'm super wrong and I'm super bad and I made a big mistake. It just means, what's the other road here? What's the other door here? What's the other thing I can do to continue forward? And that mindset of just I keep chipping and moving forward, even with the obstacles, right? And so my self-esteem literally went from 0 to way better. And it's been in all these small moments of just finding little routines and then sticking on the little routines, little rituals, little routines, plans, and following through on plans, and And I've had to make lots of lists. I've had to make lots of notes. I have lots of reminders on my phone. I don't try to have everything in my head, and I don't try to do everything alone. I use my network. I use my program. I use people. I use paper. I use computers. You know, like my plate just keeps getting fuller, especially with like the kids' demands and stuff. So if I'm overwhelmed and I'm feeling less than, I just use more notes and ask for help, and I get creative and I think outside the box, and I use myself in those situations to get through situations instead of saying I'm never going to get it, and or diving into self-pity like, oh, I'm a single mom, like no one understands me. Like, I understand me. I know I can get through this. How am I going to get through it? I'm not going to do this 100% alone. I'm going to use the resources that I have and help myself get out of this situation. And most of the time, that always happens. I'm almost always through a situation or around it. And that's come, from gaining a lot of self-esteem and knowing that this is all just going to take a lot of time, and making my plans more realistic and waiting for when those plans come to fruition has also helped. Like, instead of putting a big expectation or a big deadline or a big destination on top of something to get somewhere to then be okay, it's just, I've learned a bit more to like, just to be okay, and then that thing will arrive, or I will arrive at it when that time is meant to happen. So also just taking out that control of trying to get there faster than I'm supposed to be getting there, and just getting there when I'm getting there has been another thing I've changed that has helped. So I'm just almost being moved towards things instead of trying to run towards things, with the fact that, then I'll be good once I'm there. So I'm good here where I am, and I will get there when I get there, with all the thoughts or the plans or the things that are happening in my life. So having self-esteem now in my life when I had none I wish I would have had this when I was younger, but that wasn't the path for me. But I spent almost my whole life in like extremely low self-esteem places, and that attracted lots of partners with low self-esteem. And of course, I'm getting frustrated when they can't follow through on things, because as a low self-esteem person, that person was in their low self-esteem. So, as I grow and as I evolve, I know that I'm not going to go back on those same old tracks. And that's exciting and gives me a sense of protection and comfort, just to know that I know better. And the healthier that I get, the more I invest in things that involve me, that putting all that energy into my own lane, my lane just shot right up, because I'm not putting my energy into other people's lanes. So that's been another thing too, is knowing when things are good for me, not staying in harmful situations too long, getting some awareness, like all of these things play into action here. And it just rises. It rises, and it's given me so much strength. Like, that's just been one of the greatest gifts too, is actually being able to have the freedom to just do things and not care what people think. And, take the things that I can resonate with and leave the rest if I'm not into it. So before, I didn't have that kind of freedom, because I had to control what they thought, what they think, and I don't have to control that anymore. So yeah, lots of little acts and doing things that help me directly often, and being okay with doing things on my own. I couldn't do a lot on my own. I didn't, it was too scary. So I started really small, and it's little thoughts or little actions, and then staying consistent with it. And, it's okay. But that consistency really got me through so many things, like most of my recovery. So thank you.